Staring at the edge of the water, long as I can remember, never really knowing why. And I wish I could be the perfect daughter, but I come back to the water, no matter how hard I try. Every turn I take, every trail I track, every path I make, every road leads back to the place I know where I cannot go, though I long to be. See the light where the sky meets the sea, it calls me, and no one knows how far it goes. If the wind in my sail on the sea stays behind me, one day I'll know. If I go, there's just no telling how far I'll go.
Hey there, and welcome to Kensington. We're so glad you're here with us today, whether that's in person at one of our 6 campuses or streaming online. If we haven't met yet, and I hope we have, my name is Susan Walsh, and I'm the campus director at our Orion campus. One thing I love about my job is being part of a team of people who are passionate about Jesus and loving their neighbor. So if you're here with us in person, I want you to know that the hub is open. It's that very conspicuous place in the lobby with orange signs and people. Well, not orange people, but people in orange, I mean. Anyway, as things continue to open up, you may want to find out more about how to get connected here beyond weekend services. The hub is a one-stop shop for just that. So if you're new, or it's been a while, or if you're just ready to take some next steps, stop by the hub in the lobby. Here's another opportunity for our in-person attendees. Believe it or not, we still have openings in our K-Kids program for volunteers, because there's nothing like being around kids to bring us back to childlike faith and delight in the little things. Our K-Kids program is for babies through elementary students during Sunday services, and we'd love to have you join our team. So you can take out your phone even now and check out the app or go to kensingtonchurch.org/kids serve. And I won't be offended if you're looking at your phone while I'm talking. And while you're on your phone or tablet or personal computer, remember that we're social. So engage with us daily on Facebook or Instagram. It's a great way to stay in the know and to engage with the community throughout the week. On Facebook, like and follow our Central Kensington page, as well as your campus-specific group. We'll get right back to this incredible Go series in just a moment. We're in week 3 already, and I've enjoyed every moment. It's giving us such a fresh vision about God and our purpose on this planet. I wanted to point out that tomorrow is a holiday. It's Memorial Day, and I'm sure most of us have plans to enjoy the day with family and friends, but let's remember the men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice for their country and our freedoms. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Good morning, Clarkston. How is everyone today? Woo! All right. Thank you so much for being here today, this Memorial Day weekend. For those of you that are in the auditorium with us, and those that are watching online, we appreciate you, we value you, and we're so glad that you're here. I'm going to just open us up today in a quick prayer to honor Memorial Day. Lord, thank you so much for bringing us together Memorial Day weekend to acknowledge the debt we owe to the men and women of the military who have guarded this country with their lives. We especially honor those who have lost their lives while defending this nation. They fought for us, always understanding that they may not come home from their mission, and they accepted that as part of their job. They were willing to risk the ultimate sacrifice to protect us, and for that we are forever thankful. Jesus, we pray that you protect all of our military personnel who are currently serving and those who will serve in the future. Give them courage and protect them. We trust you, Lord, and even though we don't always understand your ways, we accept that you have a plan for each and every one of us. Amen. All right, my name is Lindsay Narker. I'm the Discipleship Director here at our campus, and I'm super excited to be up here today. I have a lot of announcements. So when I walk off the stage, if you're like, what the heck did she say? Come and see myself or my husband Adam at the Hub. We will be in the lobby. The Hub is open, and we can answer any questions that you might have. Now, as you saw in the video a minute ago, our kids program, shockingly, we are still looking for volunteers. So even if you don't have kids, or maybe you only have, I see some fingers being pointed, or maybe you are a grandma, or maybe you have one weekend the entire summer to volunteer, we need you and want you. The kids back there, they are our future. So if you are able to volunteer, if you are interested, you can come see myself, again, at the Hub in the lobby, or Shauna Neese is our K-Kids Director. She'll be down in the kids area. You can go talk to her, too. Also, coming up next weekend, which I'm super excited about, it's going to be beautiful weather. I know it. So for those of you that were here a couple weeks ago, we had our first Connect event. Next weekend will be our second. So you can join us outside in the grass after service next week to really just celebrate each other. COVID's been here for a long time. We are excited to be able to reconnect, meet new faces, and hopefully reconnect with old ones. We're going to have lots of lawn games, a bounce house for the kids, and I think my favorite part, an ice cream truck. And it's free. Woo, free ice cream. So if nothing else, you should come and get free ice cream and just say hi to all of us. So that's next weekend. We encourage you to bring a picnic blanket, bring your lawn chair, and bring a lunch, because I know as a mom, I definitely want my kids eating lunch before free ice cream. So bring all of your goodies. Join us after service next week. Now, as you came in, you should have gotten in a handout that looks like this. If you did not get one, go ahead and raise your hand. We're going to have the ushers bring one down to you. Anybody? All right. Oh, we've got just a couple down here that might need them. Okay, so over the last few weeks, you've heard us talking about the Timothy Initiative. We've shared stories of transformation, and we've talked about how we're partnering with the Timothy Initiative to help plant churches in northern India. Now, this is a region that is primarily Hindu, and it's very, very difficult for Christians to be there. So watch this quick video, and then afterwards, I'm going to come back and talk to you about how we can help partner together to plant more Christian churches in a region that is primarily Hindu.
Before Indrani met Jesus, her life was full of darkness. The deaths of her husband and father drove her to an obsession with power, an obsession with witchcraft. Because when she practiced witchcraft and channeled the spirits, she could see her husband and father. She could talk to them. It made her feel like they weren't really gone, that she wasn't alone. So she gave herself over to the spirits and their power. But that power became petrifying.
My village saw the evil power I possessed and were afraid. They knew I was a powerful witch doctor and that I could cast spells to destroy their lives. I terrified them. So they rejected and abandoned me. Eventually, so did my family. I was all alone.
Then one day, a disciple maker named Dilka met Indrani. Like others who knew her, Dilka could see that Indrani battled darkness. But unlike the others, she had the answer to Indrani's problems: Jesus. Dilka shared with Indrani of Jesus' great love and power and invited her to church. Indrani agreed to go, but only with the hopes of accessing more power and becoming an even more powerful witch doctor. While Indrani went to church to gain more power for herself, God had other plans.
The church prayed for me, and as they did, I saw a great light pushing out the darkness inside of me. The evil that had held me for so long was gone. When I returned home, I tried doing witchcraft, but I couldn't. Something was holding me back. As I went to worship the spirits, I heard a voice say, "You have victory in me. I love you so much, my child." When I heard this, I gave my life to Jesus.
Indrani removed the idols, charms, and shrines from her home. She burned them, renounced her ties with evil, and declared that she was now a follower of Jesus. Her community couldn't believe her transformation. The evil that consumed her was gone, and everything about her changed. She looked different. She acted different. And she had a new purpose in life: to know God and help others to know Him too. Indrani has become an incredible disciple maker. She has led 8 of her family members to the Lord. She's shared the gospel with more than 1,100 people. She's brought the good news of Jesus to neighboring villages. 4 of those villages now have followers of Jesus, whom Indrani disciples. She has also helped start multiple house fellowships, one of which is in her home. A home that was full of idols is now a house of worship to the one true God. Jesus has transformed Indrani's life, and He's used her to bring many people into the kingdom. This is what happens when people meet Jesus. This is what happens when disciples make disciples.
Wow. There's no other explanation for that transformation than the power of Jesus. The world changes by knowing and loving Jesus, and it's happening right there. So right now we have a very exciting opportunity for you to join Kensington, and this is exciting, 6 other Metro Detroit churches. We've all partnered together to become a church planter, or to become church planters. That's plural. The Timothy Initiative, which I talked about a moment ago, is Kensington's 11th global partner, and we are on a unified mission to help them. So together with these churches and with each one of you, we have committed to planting, get this, 3,333 churches in northern India. Can we just get a round of applause for that? And it gives me goosebumps. And not only that, Kensington alone has committed to planting 1,000 of those churches. So through the Timothy Initiative, a Christian church can be planted for $300. $300. Now, $300 is like maybe a car payment for you, or I know it's some of your Starbucks monthly budget. I mean, don't lie. I know it is. Maybe $300 is a stretch, and maybe it would really be a sacrifice for you to give up that money. But we are prayerfully asking you to consider joining our Kensington community and these 6 other Metro Detroit churches to help us plant new churches in northern India. Maybe your small group can come together and raise $300. Maybe this could be a family opportunity. Your kids could work to earn that money, and then you could teach them what it feels like to reach people on the other side of the world. Whatever it is, it's easy to join this initiative. And again, it's only $300 to plant a church. You can see up on the screen behind me, you can give a multitude of ways. You can give by going on the Kensington app. You can text the word Kensington Plant to 77977, or you can visit the website and give. Again, it's only $300 to plant a church in a region that is primarily Hindu, an area that doesn't know Jesus. Now, something else that is just incredible that just happened over this past weekend, there is a local company who has committed to a matching gift of $100,000. So that means that if you commit to planting one church for $300, they will match that and plant 2 churches up to $100,000. I mean, we are just always humbled by the generosity, and this feels exponential. We are so excited. And we wanted to show you a little visual of what's happening with the project. So we're planting flowers for every person that gives to this Timothy initiative. This is simply a visual representation, but it's something that we know we can do together. And who doesn't love pretty flowers and cute faces? So you will continue to see these flower boxes over the next several weeks. And as they fill up, you will know that we're reaching our goal of 1,000 churches planted by Kensington members. All right, now I know I'm asking you to give to Northern India in an area that desperately needs our help, but I also want you to consider giving right here at home. If you're a guest here today, you can skip this part, but if you call Kensington your home, especially Clarkston, I would encourage you to consider giving right here in your own community. There are buckets in the back for an offering. You can also, just like with the Timothy Initiative in the Northern India, you can give online via our app. You can text in. Our donations and our tithes are what help make our campus run. It's what gives our kids an opportunity to be in the kids program. It's what funds the programs that we do here, and it's what brings the music and the worship to us every weekend. Now, before we move on, I am super excited and delighted to welcome our guest speaker this morning, Dr. Eric Moore. Dr. Moore is not only an incredible speaker, a partner in ministry, but most importantly, he is a friend of Kensington, and we are just thrilled that you are here. We are privileged to hear from his wisdom and his teaching today, and it's my honor to introduce you to Dr. Moore.
All right, thank you, Leslie. Hello, Kensington. It's so good to see you. I've had the opportunity to speak at a number of your different campuses, but this is the first time I've ever had the opportunity to be out here in Clarkston, and I'm excited about that. I'm also excited about this Timothy initiative that you guys are a part of, being a church planner myself, and that's how I ended up connecting with Kensington some 20 years ago. I understand the importance of planting churches and reaching people for the cause of Jesus Christ, and that really does go along with your series, which is the Go series, and I'm so happy that Pastor Jeremiah reached out to me and asked me if I would come and speak to you on this third aspect of Go. Now, what I understand is that 2 weeks ago you looked at Go Share, and you looked at Go. Last week it was Go Plant, and now today is going to be Go With. And so I just want to kind of keep with that whole theme, that whole overview as we look at what we're going to look at today. So if you have your Bible, I invite you to turn to Matthew chapter 28. I know you guys have already looked at this, but I just want to review it just a little bit, right? Jesus is on his way out. He's on his way up to glory. He leaves his last words with his disciples. And, of course, this is something when you're on your deathbed or your last final words, these are important words. And so these are important words that Jesus is giving to his disciples. And it says this in Matthew 28, starting in verse 18. Then Jesus came to them and said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything that I've commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." And so Jesus is telling his disciples that they need to go and do these things, discipling, teaching, baptizing, all of these things. And so the emphasis or the word there is to go. As you are going, We are to be going, and actually it is a command. Now, I know when we read scripture, everything, we think that Jesus gives us suggestions, but these are actually commands that he is commanding his disciples and all the followers of him to go as well. And sometimes I think, we are like, well, let me just tell you a story. The Moore family, we have had 3 rabbits, 3 bunnies over the course of our family's history. And my wife right now, she wants another bunny. Matter of fact, I think she's looking on stream right now, and honey, we're going to get that bunny. But anyway, she likes these bunnies. And so we have these little Dutch bunnies, and we feed them well, built them a little hutch, and sometimes we will let them out in the backyard, one at a time. And the funny thing is, it is so well fed that they don't want to hop. It's kind of like, okay, we just gave you some freedom, but they don't want to go. But every now and then I'm running in the neighborhood trying to get in shape, and I run across one of these wild rabbits, right? You ever seen them wild rabbits? You get close to a wild rabbit, man, that rabbit is taking off. That rabbit is something in them that tells them to go. I think some of us as Christians, we are kind of like those pet rabbits that we have. We well fed with the Word of God. We got our water. We got a nice hutch. We got a nice home. And so we aren't going. Jesus wants us to go, because the only way that people are going to hear the gospel and their lives are going to be changed is by us being the mouthpieces that Jesus wants us to be. And that's really what this series is all about. But you have to ask yourself, you have to ask yourself, because if you're living in the United States of America, you're probably like me, which is an A-type personality. My wife, sometimes she, is kind of flustered with me, because even when we go on vacation, I'm not on vacation, because I got so much time in my mind. We need to be doing this, and we need to be doing that. I don't write it out, but it's in my mind. And so some of you are probably the same way. So the temptation is that we're going to go, but we might go with the wrong attitude. So let's look at Luke chapter 9, verse 21. I want to show you what it looks like to go with the wrong attitude, right? This series is to go with. And to go with is really go with the right mindset, the right attitude, the right disposition. So let's look at what is not the right attitude or not the right disposition. Luke chapter 9, verse 51 and following. Jesus and his disciples are on their way to Jerusalem because Jesus has a date there. And he has a date with the cross, and he is going to go to eternity. But they are going through the land of Samaria. And if you know anything about Bible history and know about Samaria, you know that the Jews don't get along with the Samaritans. And the Samaritans don't like the Jews. But Jesus has chosen that his direction is going to be a straight direction, which means he's not going to go across the Jordan and come up on the other side and then come back around and avoid Samaria. He has decided that he is going to go right through Samaria, and so he sends his disciples ahead of time. Now, here we are right here in verse 51. It says, as the time approached for him, that is Jesus, to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. And he sent his messengers on ahead who went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. But the people there did not welcome him because he was heading for Jerusalem. When the disciples James and John saw this, they asked, Lord, do you want us to call fire down from heaven to destroy them? And Jesus turned and rebuked them. I like James and John. They my kind of guys. I mean, it's like, Jesus, they not getting along, they not understanding the program. The program is that we got someplace to go, and I know you interested in the Samaritans. I know you want to share the gospel with them, but they aren't responding the right way, so we got an alternative plan. Why don't you just call down, or we can call down fire from heaven, just like Elijah did in the Old Testament? Now, I used to work for the automotive company. I used to work with Ford Motor Company and Johnson Controls. And, when I was with Johnson Controls, I was a program manager. And I got to say, being a program manager helped me with planting a church. Because I start with the end in mind. And then work backwards to see what my deliverables need to be in order to meet that deadline. And anybody who understands that, you get it and say, yeah. But here's the problem. Here's the problem. I don't see people as people. I see people as tools to be used to get the program accomplished. Now, I've been working on it. I've been confessing my sin and everything else. But you know what I mean? I think that there's a number of people who are just like me. Yes, we going because Jesus gave us the command to go. And I'm going to go whether I like these people or not. And if they don't respond the way I want them to respond, then I don't care. I call down fire from heaven and wipe them out. We need to go with the spirit and the attitude that Jesus has. And it's not one just to accomplish the project. Yes, it is a project. It is a goal. Somebody needs to lead the team. There needs to be an end result. We need to know where we're going. But we don't go at the expense of people. We go for the purpose of reaching these people. Even as we give to the Timothy initiative, it shouldn't just be a project. Well, let's see how many churches we can plant for the sake of planting churches. But no, each of those churches represents people whose lives will be changed, and we do it because we care about the people. Well, Jesus gives us an example. Jesus gives us a good example of what the attitude should be when we go. So let's go to John chapter 4. John chapter 4. We're going to go there now. And Jesus, once again, is going through Samaria. Now, actually, this is a previous journey through Samaria, which is interesting because John is writing about this long after the event. And John is looking back and reflecting on probably how he responded versus how Jesus responded. John chapter 4, verse 3 says this. So he left, and once again, that's Jesus. He left Judea and went back once more to Galilee. Now he had to go through Samaria. So he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there. And Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon. Now don't move on. Don't do it. I know it. I know how it is. I know how Bible reading is, man. We want to get to the juicy stuff. Come on, keep going, Pastor. Keep going. No, we're gonna stop. We're gonna stop right there. Because if we don't, we'll miss something. Jesus and his disciples had probably got up at the crack of day and been moving, been walking, been traveling for 6 hours in the hot Middle Eastern sun. It's high noon, the sun is beaming down on Jesus, and Jesus is tired. You know, so often we don't even think about Jesus being tired. We say, well, he's the Son of God. You know, he's God in the flesh. You know, no. He is fully human. He has traveled, and he is tired. Matter of fact, he's so tired that he just sat there and sent his disciples on. We're going to see that later, but he just sent his disciples on into town. Y'all just go, because I just need to get some rest. Now, I want to ask you this. I'm going to ask you this. How do you respond to folk when you're tired? How do you respond? I'm sure some of y'all, man, y'all just, you know, everything's just great. You just so perky. I'm going to tell you, I'm not perky when I'm tired. Matter of fact, my wife tell me I'm short. I didn't know what that meant at first. I thought, you know, what you say, I'm about 5'8", honey. No, that's not what I mean. You know, it's short. You know, you got short answers. You don't have time for you don't have as much room for foolishness as you would if you were fully rested. Jesus is sitting at this well because he is tired and he is thirsty and he is ready to be refreshed. Yeah, that's why I think some of us need to be careful in this current age we live in. I remember when I was growing up, so it kind of dates me, but when I was growing up, they did not have email, they did not have instant messages, they didn't have all that type of stuff, and my parents taught me, you know, if you upset with somebody, you need to write a letter. Write a letter. And then put that letter in a drawer, and let it sit overnight, and then pick it back up the next day, read it, and say, is that still what you want to write? Now, man, with instant messages and emails, you just make a fool of yourself right away, right? You just in, and there it is in cyberspace. 10,000 people didn't see your foolishness. So I think it's something to be said. Jesus is tired. I'm not going to say he's irritable because I'm not going to push me onto him, but he's tired. And most of us at that moment probably would not be receptive to foolishness. Okay, now let's pick up the story. John chapter 4, verse 7. When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, will you give me a drink? His disciples had gone into the town to buy food. Hey, sweetheart, while you drawing water, do you think you could give me a cup? How does she respond? The Samaritan woman said to him, you are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? For Jews do not associate with Samaritans. Basically, she said no. No, you know, Jews and Samaritans got nothing to do with each other. And plus, I'm a woman, so why are you even talking to me? Why are you even talking to me about some water? Now, I'm just saying, you know, that's why Jesus is the Son of God. And I ain't, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, you know, wait a minute. Can't you see I'm tired? Can't you see I'm sitting on the side as well? Can't you see I'm by myself? You drawing water. Can't I have a drink? Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, man, where in the world is James and John when you need them? I'm thinking, man, you know what? Hey, Jesus, make it rain right now. All I want is a drink of water. But how does Jesus respond? How does Jesus respond? Probably not the way that you and I would respond. He responds this way. Verse 10. Jesus answered her, if you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. Sir, the woman said, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? I love it. Jesus does not allow her response to deter him whatsoever. Because Jesus is thinking, yes, I need water, but what I really need is to connect with you so that you might have eternal life. Jesus looks beyond his own need to the need of the woman, and so he engages in conversation with her. And he uses questions to perk her curiosity so that he might be able to engage with her even more. It's really amazing. Here it is. He's tired. He's probably weak. He's thirsty. Probably tempted to be irritable. But he sees her need. And he crafts questions in such a way that he invites her into conversation. It kind of reminds me of, I think Pastor Jeremiah last week, he was talking about being fishers of men. And so Jesus is putting the bait out there so that she might nibble and she might bite and she might taste. And so he might be able to engage her even more. You know, I think that's what Go is all about. It is about trying to understand what bait we can put out there to be fishers of men and women. And we got a whole bunch of different kind of fish. Every fish is different. I'm gonna tell you, I'm not a fisherman. I'm not. I used to fish. My dad used to take me when I was a kid. I didn't want to put the worm on the hook. I just didn't. I did a little bit when my son was young and took him out. And same thing. He was scared of worms, but I put the worm on the hook. Even though I didn't like it, but I'm trying to show I'm a big man. I'm not scared of worms. But I never did. I was never into fishing. But my wife loves fishing. My wife loves fishing. I don't think a week goes by without my wife telling me she loves fishing. We've been married 20-something years. She ain't been fishing once. Because she married a man that don't like fishing. You see what I'm saying? But I appreciate that. And one of these days, matter of fact, honey, I'm saying on camera. One of these days, before I die, we'll go fishing. All right? So to fish, though, I did do a little research. You need to have the right type of bait to catch a certain type of fish. Now, this is mind-blowing to me. I didn't know this before I prepared for this sermon. I'm thinking to myself, man, that is absolutely amazing. And so it was so amazing to me, I wrote it down. I just want to share this new profound knowledge that I got, okay? Just bear with me right now. So if you fishing for bluegill, you can use earthworms or crickets. And see, that don't make no sense to me, because I'm sure crickets don't swim. So I'm trying to figure out how in the world, why would bluegills want crickets? But anyway, that's what I read. Anyway, so a trout like earthworms, and they like leeches. I ain't putting no leech on no hook. All right? So, honey, we ain't going for trout. Let's go earthworm. All right, bass, they like night crawlers, and they like eel. This is absolutely amazing to me. catfish like night crawlers, and they like, catfish like night crawlers, but they also like chicken livers. That just blew me away. That's blew me away. Do chickens swim? I'm trying to figure this out. But anyway, I'm just writing what I see here, all right? Carp like sweet corn and dough balls, walleye like leeches and minnows, and whitefish like bread and insects. I am absolutely amazed. But I'm sure that somebody who fishes for a sport or for a living understands that you need to use certain type of bait to reach or catch certain type of fish. And Jesus says, I am going to make you fishers of men. What that means is that God is giving you individuals or putting individuals in your life. And part of it is, God, what do I need to do to be able to reach this person? What type of conversation? What type of questions? What type of events? What type of circumstances need to be in place to reach this person? This past week, I had breakfast with one of my ex-students. And so he wanted to take me out to breakfast. Say, Prof, I'll take you out, I'll pay for it. And we went to this restaurant I'd never been to before. And so we were there, and so you had to order your breakfast before you actually went and sat down. So we did, and there was this young lady, she was waiting on us, and I noticed on her left forearm she had this tattoo. And it was the only tattoo she had, and it was mountains or whatever. I couldn't really see it clearly. And so I asked her, because this is one of the things I do. And you can steal this if you want to. It's great. But the way that I try to get into a spiritual conversation with people is that when I see somebody who has one tattoo, not several, but just one, I always ask, can I see your tattoo? And then I ask, what does that mean? Because I believe, I always ask, can I see your tattoo? And then I ask, what does that mean? Because I believe, now I might be wrong, but I believe that if you have one tattoo on your skin and you took the time to put it on there is some significant story behind that. And so she showed us her tattoo, and it's a mountain, whatever, and it was a picture of a place in Macedonia. And you know where I'm going. I'm thinking, oh, man, yeah, we got to get this. And so I'm like, Lord, okay, let me get in this conversation with her. And, of course, there's people behind us, and we couldn't do it. I was like, oh. And then she came by later and gave us coffee. And I said, wow, that was just an interesting tattoo. That's so interesting. And the fact that you got your grandparents' name on there, and they're from Macedonia and the whole thing. I said, oh, wow, I'd love to talk to you about that some other time. And she's like, yeah. And so, my goal is to come back to that same restaurant, looking for the same waitress, and try to engage even more. Jesus wants us to be fishers of men and women. And Jesus gives us the example of how to do it. Now let's continue on here, because this is a great story of just watching Jesus do this. So we jump down to verse 23. And so Jesus transitions the conversation from physical need to spiritual need. Verse 23. He says, yet a time is coming and has now come when the true worshipers will worship the Father in the Spirit and in truth, for they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks. God is spirit, and his worshipers must worship in the spirit and in truth. The woman says, I know that Messiah, called Christ, is coming. When he comes, he will explain everything to us. Then Jesus declared, I, the one speaking to you, I am he. Jesus takes physical water, engages the woman even though he's tired, transitions the story from physical to spiritual so that she has a response, she has the opportunity to respond to him in faith. That is how we are to respond. Now the question is, why did James and John respond one way and Jesus respond a totally different way? It is because James and John saw it as a project. There was a goal in mind, and we need to accomplish the goal. But Jesus loved the woman. Jesus operated out of love. And the only way that you can respond with this type of love is by faith. I want to go to Proverbs right quick. We're just going to jump there right quick, and then I'll be done for the day. We're just going to look at Proverbs chapter 10. Proverbs chapter 10, and we're going to look at verse 12. This is a great verse. It says, hatred stirs up conflict, but love covers over all wrongs. Jesus was motivated by love. And you and I, if we just say, well, you know what, we're going to try and love, we're going to try to love, you know, when we find ourselves in those situations where, you know, we're tired and we're irritable or whatever, we might want to put love on the shelf. But it's when we act in faith. God, you have called me to love even if I feel unloving right now. Lord, you have called me to love even if the object of my love is unlovable. Lord, in faith, I will trust you. And I will love those individuals that you put before me so that they might have the opportunity to put their faith and their trust in you. We're going to watch this video clip, Craig Mays. And you know, as I looked at this clip, I thought, here is an example of an individual who loved. But the only reason that he could love is because he chose to do so by faith. My challenge to you and to me is that we might follow the example of Jesus and we might love because of our deep faith.
So I really don't like cities, especially big cities. It was incredibly disruptive in 2006 when God began to nudge my wife Chris and me to come to New York City.
It was sitting on a bench much like this in Madison Square Park where God said to me clearly, you're not a suburb boy anymore. This is your city. This is your home. These are your people. And I felt it, and I knew it, and I embraced it, and there's no looking back.
In fact, when I thought of cities, I thought about all the things that probably many of you think of. I thought about crime and danger. It just wasn't attractive to me. Yet God clearly called us to come. It was quite an adjustment for me. And actually, for the first few years, I hated it. Eventually, I found out it wasn't that dangerous and things weren't that scary, and I wasn't anxious all the time, and really began to enjoy living in the city and doing the work God called us to do. It was one of those just super hot July days in New York City where the city and the concrete and the brick is just holding the heat in. So I stopped at Starbucks to grab a cold Frappuccino before I went to my office. And I came to this intersection and I noticed on the corner there were three guys. They didn't have shirts on, which is very unusual. And I got about, I think it was about right here, and I felt some arms come around me from behind. And because I know a lot of people in this area, I thought it was probably some friend goofing off. And then I felt the hand go down to my back pocket where my wallet was, and I realized, oh my gosh, I'm getting mugged. And so right here I pivoted, just instinct, pivoted against the building, trapped my hand with my wallet right here, and he's trying to pull me away. He's reaching, trying to get my wallet. He's saying things like, old man, just give us your wallet, old man, stop fighting us. He's roughing me up against the wall. I noticed people are walking by and no one's paying any attention. The only thing I noticed was my cold Frappuccino spilled on the sidewalk. I was frustrated, I think, more about that than anything in the moment. And then finally the other two guys jump in, and so they push me, and one guy starts pounding me on the arm, one guy starts punching me in the gut, and I had this sense of this cannot be happening to me. Kind of blurred almost in the background. I could see people walking by, people across the street. No one was helping me, and there's this moment of just almost desperation, like what's gonna happen, how's this gonna turn out? Finally, someone comes by on a skateboard and stops, a young guy, and then a guy dressed in a suit, looked like a Wall Street guy, steps up off the curb onto the sidewalk, and they both said something like, hey, what are you guys doing? And the guys took off running, and these guys are standing there, my good Samaritans, and I straightened up, and my wallet was still there. I was pretty proud of that. I look at my hand, it's all cut up and bleeding. The guy in the skateboard calls the police. It seemed like I blinked, and there was all these sirens, and police came from two different precincts, and suddenly I'm surrounded by seemed like about a dozen cops, and there was still this sense of surreal that this didn't actually happen to me. And I walked away just probably an hour after the mugging, and I'm getting on the subway heading to my office. So I was in a meeting with my staff having just been mugged, and I'm telling them the story, almost felt like outside of myself, just kind of making jokes and getting on with business and say, we have business to do, that I'm okay. They showed a lot of worry and concern for me. I didn't really feel it. Business as usual. And then for some reason, about a week later, I started feeling anxious about it. And then I remember having dreams about it. Really, night after night, I was having dreams where I was back there again and people were beating on me. And it began to change how I was in the city. I began to become very aware of who was around me. I was scanning all the time, looking for people. I would begin to jump at sounds and noises. I would find myself standing against the wall so no one could come up behind me. I would avoid certain blocks. If it looked too deserted, I wouldn't walk down the block because there might be someone there hiding. It just changed the way I was getting around the city. It stayed with me all summer long. I really began to feel like I can't live this way. It's harder for me to do my work this way. I've got to do something with it. So I was trying to process it. I was talking to friends about it. I even actually talked to a counselor. I was encouraged to talk to a counselor about it, so I did that. But it just persists. And so I decided in early September that I was going to share this in a devotion with the staff. So I sat in my office at the end of the workday. Before I put my pen down, this kind of thought or prayer came to me, and I wrote it down, and it said, God, I don't want to live in fear. Exclamation point, put my pen down, grabbed my stuff, and headed home the 2 blocks to my apartment. I've probably done this hundreds and hundreds of times, but at this season, because of the mugging, it was not really just an easy walk home, because I found that I was hyper vigilant, really paying attention to what was going on around me, scanning all the time. I would even say kind of jumpy. So on this particular day, on my journey home, about right here, and I'd seen just ahead of me this very large man walking kind of slow, kind of lumbering, and so I gave him wide berth to go around him on his left in a very dramatic fashion. As we're both walking, I'm passing him, he turns like this, which kind of startled me and made me jump a little bit. But before I could say or do anything or move by quickly, he said these words. He said, thank you for not being afraid of me. A bolt of lightning hit me. It was so shocking because I'd just written these words, God, I don't want to live in fear. And now this man, less than 5 minutes later, is looking me in the eyes and saying, thank you for not being afraid of me. And I have to say, there was no question that was God. I asked him the question, I said, well, why would I be afraid of you? And then he told me a story that he had been released from prison not too long ago. He was in a program, and had to get back to his halfway house on time or he would violate parole. And something had happened to his bus ticket. And so he was stranded there. And so he began to walk toward the bus station, but it was almost a 3-mile walk. And he had made it almost there all the way this way, but he also didn't have any money. So he didn't know what to do when he got to the bus stop anyhow. So we're having this conversation, and he's describing to me going block after block after block, anxious, looking at his watch, wondering if he's going to make it in time, and asking for help. And every block he was praying, God, would you please send someone to help me? Block after block after block, and no success. So he made it all the way up, of all places, right across from my office. And I come out here on the sidewalk, not wanting to live in fear, and here we're having this conversation. And so we talked about how I could help him, and just a couple blocks up was my bank, and I almost never give money out on the streets, but I saw his ID. His story was believable. He had tears in his eyes. I just felt the connection. Plus, I knew that God had sent me to him. There was no question. He felt grateful and was in tears because God sent me to him, and I felt grateful and in tears because I felt God had sent him to me. This was a moment, a divine moment for both of us. And so we took care of getting his bus ticket, and he went on to grab his bus and hopefully get there in time. I never saw him again. And I stood there really I have to say, in awe of God, because I knew he was doing a work in my heart right then by bringing this man to me, whose story would move my heart to do something to help him. And after the fact, as I would replay this over the next few days, I just pictured in my mind's eye, as he was crying out to God, I believe that God was hearing his prayer. Block after block, mile after mile, as this man desperately needed help. And I began to picture it from God's perspective of him longing to help this man. That's the desire of his heart, to help him. But he needs someone to respond. So God might be asking the question, who do I have? Who do I have that will listen to me? Who that I have who is not living in fear? Who do I have that will provide help for this man? Because God is not going to drop a bus ticket down on the streets. He's not going to drop a $20 bill. He needs someone, some person, some man, some woman to respond to this man's cry for help. So as time has gone by from this experience, it's really become for me a paradigm of how God works in the world. At this very moment today, there are people all over the globe, all over the planet Earth, all over our cities, who are crying out to God for help, who are looking for answers to prayer. And God hears every single one of those. And the challenge for those of us who are following Jesus and want to build and grow his kingdom is when God is looking for someone, when he's asking the question, who do I have? Will he look at us and say, oh good, I've got him, I've got her, because they are going to respond. They are going to be the answer to this prayer. That's a way that I want to live. That's a way that I want for you to live. That you are living your life, eyes open, ears open, ready to respond to God. When someone is asking God for help, God sees you, he sees me, and he says, oh great, they are going to respond. They are going to be the answer to this prayer.
Man, isn't this story just incredible? It's so powerful. I mean, Craig just said it all right there. God is really asking, who do I have right now for this person in this situation? Who do I have? Man, before I go any further, would you guys just help me thank Dr. Eric Moore for being here? Yeah, just incredible. Thank you so much. I'm so blessed to learn from him today. But Jesus is really calling us in those moments, and he's never going to stop doing it. Who do I have? Is it you? Can I use you right now? And there's something so beautiful about that, because I feel like I say this a lot, but Jesus is always doing something. God is always already doing something. But the most beautiful part about that is that he wants us to be a part of it. He wants to invite us into that moment, to use us for that person. And in order to do that, like Dr. Moore was saying, we have to not only go in love. In order to go in love, we have to go in faith. And we have to surrender our will to say no. We have to surrender our rights to Jesus, to say, you know what, Lord, yes, I will obey. When he says, who do I have? We can hear that and say, Lord, you have me. I'm right here. I'll say yes. We have to give him all of ourselves. We're going to sing this song called Have My Heart. And it is just a declaration of, Lord, I'm giving it all to you. If you want my heart, you can have it all. You got it. It's yours. So in this moment, I'd love to invite, if you want to stand and sing this with us, you can. But if you want to just let this wash over you, you can do that as well. But let us give all of our hearts to him.
heart.
strengthen us, bolster our faith, encourage us, be with us in those moments when you call us into action, when you call us to go with love. Lord, give us the ears to hear. And Lord, would you silence our fears and our inhibitions and the voices of the enemy that tell us to say no? Would you quiet our resistance and conquer us so that we may say yes and trust in you fully, Lord. Because when you come to us, Lord, you're always on your way to someone else. You're inviting us into something so powerful, something so beautiful, and something that is transformational for someone. We give our hearts to you, Lord. Amen. We're going to sing one last song called Holy Ground. When we get to that bridge and we say, chains fall, fear bow, here now. Jesus, you change everything. Let's declare that with power. Let's declare that with the authority of Jesus, that he changes everything. And when we say yes to the Lord, when we give him our hearts, there's nothing he can't do. So let's sing this together.
change everything. Chains will fall, fear will bow here and now. Jesus, you change everything. Light, heal, hope is found here and now. Jesus, you change everything. Jesus, you change everything. Lives, healing, hope is found here and now. Jesus, you change everything.
Amen. Jesus, you change everything. What a beautiful thing to declare. Amen. Amen. Now go in power, with love, and in faith. Man, I pray that you are encouraged by this today. I pray that this lights a fire in your heart and in your bones to go with love. Before you guys leave, I want to remind you of just a couple things. We have prayer available after service right down here at the front. Our prayer team will be here for you. And we've got these orange wristbands. You see some of us wearing those. They say, "Who do I have?" You guys can get that on your way out. And let that be a reminder that when God is asking, "Who do I have right now for this person in this moment?" that is your time to say, "Yes, you have me, Lord." And the last thing, I'd love to invite you guys to join us next weekend as we do our Connect event outside. Stay a while, connect with us, meet somebody new, have a great time. We love you guys so much. Have an incredible weekend. God bless.